Hi, I'm Lori Robertson with the Berkley Blend. Today we are speaking with City Manager Matt Baumgarten. Stay tuned. Matt, thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk to you about all of your accomplishments over the last year. Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to be here, and I really love what you guys are doing with this show.
Thank you. It's an exciting project to be working on this. I really have been enjoying it. Today is the last day of school for many of our students. And in the spirit of school ending today, what grade would you give yourself for this last year?
Hopefully I did a little bit better than I did in my actual school days. So perhaps a B minus with, I would always say there's room for improvement, so I wouldn't be so bold as to give myself an A, but I probably landed somewhere in the B area after the first year, and looking forward to raising that grade as we get into many more years.
I think that's a fair grade.
Thank you.
You're probably being maybe a little bit too hard on yourself. Tell me what your biggest obstacle was in the last year.
The biggest obstacle, I would say, is sort of the time when I came in. I was here for only about a week or so before the form-based code controversy basically went very, very public. It started first on social media, and then it became roomfuls of people.
Yes.
So it was meeting people, trying to introduce myself as somebody new to the community, new to the Berkley family, in the midst of the very difficult time. So there was one thing that people wanted to talk about, and I had a million things I wanted to talk about with people because I was learning about Berkley and learning about the staff and its residents, and it was trying to move things past that one topic into a broader based conversation about how we can improve our shared community. So I'd say that was probably the biggest thing. The positive in that, though, is I met way more residents than a city manager typically gets to in its first year.
Yep.
So no matter the topic, I got to shake a lot of hands, got to have a lot of conversations. So I would say that was probably the biggest early on adjustment.
That was a huge issue for you to walk into. I kind of liken it to a firestorm. I remember that very first meeting, and I was like, oh, you're Matt, oh. But I think you handled it well. I know even you and I had just an exchange briefly via email in the very beginning.
Sure.
And I think once I expressed myself how I was feeling and you were honest and open and candid and expressed your views, I think we really came together on the same page rather quickly. And
Sure.
I would say the silver lining was you really did get to meet so many more people. I can't honestly say that I ever met the previous city manager. So I'm actually thankful for that issue popped up because you would not be here today with me. So
yeah, and it put some wind. It put some wind behind some of the communication changes that we wanted to make as well. When I was hiring in and going through the application process, the city council was very intent on finding somebody who could change the way that the city being City Hall, communicating with the city being the residents. So they were very firm on that regard, as we need to do better there, we need to do better. And having that show up right away was sort of like saying, like, okay, line in the sand. Here's the natural consequence of doing things the way we've been doing. It's a chance to take a real hard left turn here and do things way better. And we still try to improve that, but I hope that people see at least that as a difference over the last year.
I definitely have noticed an increase in communication. Would like to see a little bit more, but I think you guys are definitely headed in the right direction. I think the new website looks amazing.
Oh, good.
I love I love it. I love the way that it looks. I love how each department has their own catch title. I want to see DPW might be dependable.
Yes.
I thought that was really smart. So I don't know who you worked with on that, but it looks fantastic. And I know for me, when I have emailed you, you've always been very good about getting back to me. And even if it's a small question like, hey, when's my next CAC meeting? You've always been fantastic about that. So I really appreciate it. What would you say so far to date? And I know it's not been very long, but what has been maybe your biggest accomplishment? Something that, maybe we don't even know you're working on.
Yeah. I would actually, and it probably is one of those things that a lot of people don't know that we're working on, but the biggest accomplishment, I think, would be the changes that we've seen in the organizational culture at City Hall. And some of the changes that we've made there, trying to pull back the curtain a little bit more, allowing people to feel more comfortable in having very frank conversations with residents when asked, instead of just saying like, oh, I'm not sure, let me get back to you on that, and then go find out what we can do, or go find out what the answer is privately, instead of just saying, I apologize, I don't know right now, but we'll definitely make sure that you have that answer. I would say that's probably one of my biggest accomplishments, and I'm starting to see that more and more, especially as we start to overcome or start to address some of the more recent, somewhat controversial, definitely contentious issues that are coming up, like LaSalette, and what we've had, the issues that we've had over at the ice arena, the need for a community center that meets the city's needs, things like that. They're starting to bear fruit there.
LaSalette, definitely a hot topic right now. Can you give us any insight? I think the next Planning Commission meeting is next week. Really, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it could be passed, maybe it won't be. We don't know. What are your thoughts initially on the LaSalette project?
I was, like many, I had a lot of the same issues that the Planning Commission had, and some of the City Council members have individually expressed. It is a very large development. When it initially came before us, it was very tall. It was very close to the nearest home. I was relieved to hear that they've moved away from the initial application. The applicant has dropped a story off the new portion of the development and found a way to incorporate that into the school building itself. I was happy to see that the townhouses along the edge, the applicant amended their plans to make those owner-occupied, which I feel is a step in the right direction. But the biggest thing is that, as you said, we don't know what final version this is going to take. So
it's still in its early stages.
It is, and Planning Commission has a lot of answers that they will need to move this forward with a recommendation to City Council whenever that comes. So their primary duty is to do the fact-finding and the due diligence on something like this. And then they would make that recommendation over to the City Council, and City Council ultimately decides whether or not they feel this is appropriate for the city. So more to come, definitely. The biggest thing that we can get from the residents here is, let's talk about the merits of this project, positive, negative, but making sure that we stay on topic and make sure that the feedback that we receive, and we absolutely want feedback at the June 27th public hearing, make sure that it's topical and civil.
I think for me, I love that they want to rehab the school. I think the lofts on top are fantastic, especially they're on Coolidge. I would love to see the townhomes be owner occupied. That would be fantastic. And my dream, and I know this is a dream, but I wish that the developer, who I believe one of them lives in Berkley, I think it would be so fantastic to have a certain amount of units slated specifically for seniors at a lower rent. I know that it's a business, but gosh, I would absolutely love it if they could come up with something like that. I think that would be something that the residents could really back. And I am appreciative that they dropped it one story. So hopefully, as we work through the project and we work through the process, everybody can come together. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to the discussion.
Me
So
too.
it should be good.
Some buildings are 55 plus, so we haven't discussed it specific to the LaSalette application, but there are apartment complexes out there that are 55 plus as far as the applicants. And what this catches is empty nesters who are leaving a single family home. Their children have moved off to various other locations, and they aren't, they may not consider themselves to be senior citizens. And I think most of us have this image of, somebody in the 70 or 80-year-old demographic as being a senior, but empty nesters they've retired, but they're still very active, they're still very young, especially as we see the sort of the baby boomers move into that age demographic. There's a real need, and we see this all over the state. There's a real need for post-single family house. And I would love to see that as well. I think it's something that Berkley could do well, because we retain the legacy of the people that have lived in this community. And if they don't want a single family home, then there's a middle step for them.
Yeah, we're definitely lacking a little bit in that area.
Yeah.
The church, LaSalette Church, had a town hall meeting yesterday for their parishioners. Do you think the city might consider doing a town hall, maybe at the school auditorium, so more residents could come out and ask questions and be able to hear the developer and what their ideas are?
We've encouraged the developer to do as much outreach as possible and create opportunities for people to come in and see. We need to be careful as a city, being that we need to go through a process that is fair and equitable to not appear as though we are endorsing any part of this. So creating opportunities like that, I think, are absolutely what I would recommend and have recommended to the applicant.
Okay.
But the city hosting it would almost feel like we're trying to sell it.
Okay, that's true.
And we need to avoid that as much as possible.
Okay, that totally makes sense. Switching gears, we're coming up on the summer months. Can you remind us what kind of events we can expect for the city?
Absolutely. One of the things I'm really excited about, the Chamber is actually hosting a street art festival on Coolidge at Dorothea. It's going to be a brand new event to the city. It's it's a fun event on Coolidge. We do a lot of events on 12 Miles, so this is it's a neat opportunity to see the city from a different perspective.
A little shout out to Coolidge.
Yeah, and see some of the businesses on Coolidge shine. It's going to be chalk art, which is really neat if you haven't seen it. It is literally what it sounds like. There are these beautiful masterpieces that are developed in this temporary medium in chalk. So it's gorgeous, but for just like sort of a moment in time, and it's and contrary to that, there's also the DDA is actually doing murals. There's 2 murals that they have been working through the process of finding a business owner and a property owner along Coolidge to install in their area. So
are they chalk murals?
No, these are actually permanent murals. So you've got the contrast of the temporary chalk art that you really got to come out on July 15th to see it. And then there's also this lasting contribution to our business district in these 2 murals.
So to see those.
It's a really neat, it's beauty now and beauty long term. So it kind of hits both sides. So really, as you can tell, I'm really excited about seeing that come on. And then of course we're gearing up for the 2nd annual County Irish Oakland Festival.
Do you know the date for that?
County Oakland Irish Festival. The date, the date is actually, it's on our website, but don't recall it off the top of my head. But last year's was a great event. They had about 5,000 or 6,000 people, despite having some drizzling rain.
Yep, there was a little bit of rain.
So this year we're hoping to avoid any weather complications, see that expand, and really sort of celebrate the Irish roots that run deep in Oakland County.
That was a very fun event.
Yeah, it's not just Berkley. It's a county-wide celebration for sure. And then of course our recreation department is so busy during the summer. We've got our summer camps gearing up once again. They've got mini camps. They've got reading events that they do in conjunction with the library. Also some of our park events, and just in general, making your own fun in our city parks. They never look better than in the summer. You know, the staff works very hard to make sure that these things are tip-top, ready to go during the months in Michigan that are actually habitable for outside fun. And then, of course, we've got they host the annual Summerfest as well. And so our website, the city's website, has just a whole slew of recreation events, and the rec department does a very good job in their Berkley Buzz of outlining all the fun that we can have over the course of a summer.
Robina Rhapsody has started?
That's right. Actually kicks off, I'm not sure when this airs, but June 15th, which is for us today. The very first concert is this evening. It's so much fun. They'll, as they have been, it'll be at 12 Mile in Robina, on the north side of Robina. So great parking, great music, and a great chance to be downtown.
Awesome.
Our DDA is also doing Art and Abouts, which they had their first one on the Friday night before Art Bash, and it was really fun on a Friday night to see our sidewalks along 12 Mile and Coolidge so alive, so filled with people. The businesses really got into it. Many of them had an artist out front, whether it was visual art and somebody doing performance art, whether it was music. It was just the best time. I actually took my two little ones in a wagon, and we were walking up and down, and they loved it. I loved it. It was really an all ages event. So that's going to go on through October.
Oh, fun.
They're going to do those on periodic Fridays throughout the summer. So
awesome.
Just a great time.
Well, I'm sad to say we're out of time already.
Oh, no.
I know. But I'm hoping to have you back as a recurring guest.
Oh, good.
I think you're so informative, and I just think it'll be a great tool for communication for the city to check in with you every now and again, see what you're up to. It was really nice meeting your wife and your kids at the Art Bash last weekend. That was fun running into you.
It was fun times.
So thank you so much for taking time out of your day today, Matt. I really
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.